Hello, family. This is your girl, Megan. Welcome back to the Hood Astro Queen. And today I am going to be doing another celebrity birth chart reading at the request of one of my good friends who wanted me to look into the birth chart of Mr. Drake to potentially see if at all, there is any possibility of him being involved in occultism or, any type of alternative means of spirituality or anything of that nature. Now, I thought this was like a pretty good idea just because, we all know Drake, right? World renowned rapper. He's managed to reach a lot of success within his career. And for the past 10 years, he has endured, and I would even argue just completely excelled and thrived in a culture and in an industry that's very fickle, that turns on people at the drop of a hat. You see Nicki, okay? You see how they did Nicki. They dropped your girl like a bad habit, okay? And so, not only has he managed to navigate, he's managed to thrive. And along with that, there has been some controversy surrounding his name. A lot of people have noticed that he's managed to achieve all of these things, but seemingly at the expense of other people. Now, an example of this is Drake's tendency to kind of jump on different waves, different trends. He'll do a lot of features for like new and upcoming artists. However, a lot of people report that he either steals their flow or, steals their sound, or kind of, hops on the hot wave and then just throws the person to the wolves and then just, goes on about his business until the next hot thing, hot buzz, hot trend, hot sound comes along. And an artist in particular that actually blatantly came out and accused Drake of stealing their sound, their artistic property, their intellectual property, is XXX Tentacion. Now, the fact that he's dead now, is that a coincidence? Yes, no, maybe so. I'm not sure. However, it has been said that Drake is involved in a lot of, I guess you could say nefarious, maybe, or just very just like secret things, affairs behind the scenes within the industry. And then he's actually kind of known to be a rather vindictive person. So, when you take into account all of those things, I'm like, this could be a very interesting reading for us to sink our teeth into. Now, before we proceed, I would like for you guys to please excuse the sound that I'm pretty sure you hear in the background. It's my fan, okay? Normally, I turn it off during recordings, but it is 4 p.m. in Atlanta, Georgia, okay? And I am zoning, okay? So, if you just work with me here, we can go ahead and get started. So, Mr. Drake was born Aubrey Drake Graham on October 24th, 1986 in Toronto, Canada. Now, I normally use astrocharts.com. Some people like it, some people don't, okay? But I prefer it, actually. Or it's like my top 3. And they actually have his birth time posted on here. And the accuracy is reported excellent. So we're just going to go ahead and use that on today, okay? So it's reported that he was born at 2:31 a.m., which makes him a Scorpio sun, Cancer moon, Leo ascendant. Whew. Now, already, this is kind of irrelevant to the reading at hand, but I do notice with him being a Cancer moon, it does make a lot of things make sense. As far as him gaining like this reputation for being like this soft, emotional guy. Cancer is, or the moon is dignified in Cancer, right? Because it naturally rules Cancer, and it deals with women. It deals with the divine feminine, and it could absolutely make him very much like understanding of women. It can make him a ladies' man. It can even point towards him being a womanizer, especially with it sitting in his 12th house. But that's neither here nor there, okay? However, he is a Scorpio sun, okay? And his sun is conjoined to his Mercury, Venus, as well as his Pluto. And because he's a Leo ascendant, Scorpio is on his 4th house cusp, okay? Now, this placement right here can naturally create for somebody who has a lot. And I mean, typically when you're dealing with like house placements, the first house is usually squaring the fourth house, like whatever sign is on the fourth house, because the fourth house represents like the bedroom, okay? Like hidden activity or things that are private or the things you do behind closed doors or your home, right? Because it's the natural house of Cancer. And with that being said, a lot of times, just people in general, especially when you have Leo ascendants, right? Leo is the sign of the celebrity. These people can have home lives that completely contrast from the image that they put forth to the public, right? These people can be just completely different people behind closed doors. But in Drake's case, with him being or having Scorpio, this loaded fourth house in Scorpio, it could absolutely point towards him being somebody who is particularly private about not only his emotions, but with Venus in here, his love affairs, and even his identity, I would even argue. I mean, his sun being conjoined to his Pluto, I always call this the Illuminati aspect. Well, I would typically say Sun square Pluto, but when you have a conjunction, it can go either way. So conjunctions can play out in a more positive way, but they can also play out in a negative way. So the potential of this being played out in a negative manner it's there, and it would manifest as him being somebody who has a very secret identity. You know what I mean? Somebody who deals with people who have high or who are high in power, high influence, but it could also represent criminal activity. You know what I'm saying? Scorpio is a sign of criminal activity, okay? Forbidden things that are hidden underground, kind of like very nefarious shit, you know what I mean? And especially with his Venus here too, it makes me wonder, like, I actually remember there being a story, and y'all remind me when this was. I forget what year, but he was messing with the stripper Johnny Blaze, right? And it was like some type of drama that happened. Like, I don't know if she exposed him, or I don't know, did she get pregnant by him or something like that? Basically, she wasn't behaving in accordance to his rules. He got mad at her, and according to Johnny, she says that he sent some goons, okay, to her door to threaten her and, basically force her to get like an abortion or something. There are actually a lot of people who, have reported Drake is very much plugged in, which is, I even noticed it in his music. He started off as this Degrassi rapper. Nobody really takes him like seriously. Come on, you're Wheelchair Jimmy. You're always talking about, your content, your subject matter. We don't think you're a gangster. However, over the years, he's gained a lot of confidence, and I would hear him drop certain references in his music about, how he got shooters and this and that. And a lot of people have rumored that to be true in the industry. So, I mean, you could interpret this fourth house in a bunch of different ways. So, like, of course, this could be, I could even see this being occultism, because Scorpio does deal with the occult. So this could absolutely be somebody, but even in a positive manner, right? Just at the very least, Drake being very much intuitive, perceptive, somebody who is always trying to figure things out, who does a really good job at seeing through things, figuring people out, analyzing, right? Also, because Scorpio has this theme of death and rebirth, right? Somebody who can absolutely recreate their image, which, lends to the point I was making at the beginning of the video, is he has done a really good job at maintaining and excelling and, keeping his celebrity, his A-list status within the industry. Even if it does come at the expense of other people, or if he has to bite a sound or fake an accent, with his bad man Tingz like Drake. Oh my God, for real. But yeah, so at the very positive, on a more positive note, that could create somebody who does have that kind of longevity, endurance, Scorpio does deal with endurance, but it can also deal with somebody who, like I said, is involved in a lot of nefarious activity. Point blank, period. Okay. Now, something else I noticed. Oh, yeah, his Venus is at the 18th degree of Scorpio. And that number 18 is a challenging number because it deals with, it can go two ways. So it can deal with somebody who is surrounded by like a lot of shady characters, or you could be the shady character, if that makes sense. And it could also lead or lend some type of credence to him treating women a certain way, or like being very controlling with women, him being very this could also represent him being very much secretive of his family life, you know what I mean? Especially with him, his moon, his Cancer moon in the 12th house, him being somebody who, like, the whole, like, he hid his son from the world. I mean, because your son represents children too, so that sun in the 4th house of Scorpio could absolutely deal with him keeping his child, what that little nigga name, what's the little boy name, I don't know, y'all drop down in the comment section below, keeping him a secret, his Pluto is also squaring his Mars, and his Mars, he's an Aquarius Mars. His Mars is in the 7th house. That 7th house deals with relationships of all kinds, so interpersonal relationships, romantic relationships, marriages, business. It can also deal with open enemies, okay? And this could make him somebody who is very, very much like an opportunist. That's that Aquarius energy, that Mars Aquarius 7th house. Almost even like a vampire who vampirizes groups of people. Because, Aquarius does deal with the collective, your peers. Even, like when it comes to business partnerships, somebody who kind of really like objectifies people and does so in a way that's very cold-hearted, in an icy way, very non-emotional way. Somebody who moves on their own kind of ulterior motives. Looks to kind of get things done in their own way, especially with his son. If his son is squaring his Aquarius also, it can make him very competitive, but strategic, because you got to think about it. That Scorpio energy is very underground, underhanded. So, once again, lending credence to the whole, like, him kind of like sucking the soul out of other people's movements. I mean, his Mercury is squaring his Mars also. This could even point towards him stealing music or stealing his lyrics. Not really. I mean, it does support him not writing his, I don't know if it's all of his music, but it definitely supports like the OVO, what is it called? OVO sweatshop that people joke about all the time. How he has like this sweatshop of writers writing for him. It does support that. So, he's definitely engaged in a lot of, things that are done away from the public eye. So I could definitely see that. And if you want to include occultism or, things of that nature, I could definitely see that. But another way to look at somebody's, I guess you could say, spiritual practices is by looking at where their Jupiter is placed. Because, Jupiter deals with religion. It deals with spirituality. It's the natural ruler of the 9th house. So his Jupiter is at the 13th degree of Pisces, which would fall in his, it would fall in his 8th house. Now, the 8th house is the natural house of Scorpio, and it reinforces this theme of occultism, and Pisces is the natural ruler of the 12th house, and it deals with, it's a very spiritual, very, very spiritual sign, because for one, it is co-ruled by Jupiter. So his Jupiter is dignified in this house also, so it makes it very strong. It's very strongly felt, and it deals with lies, it deals with theft, it deals with deceit, it deals with like I said, just this very strong sense of spirituality, imagination, creativity, drugs, and it also even deals with like a lack of boundaries. So It's very interesting that his Jupiter is here. This could absolutely reinforce the possibility of him being involved in the occult. For real, y'all. And his Jupiter is trining all of the planets in his fourth house. So it's trining his sun, Pluto. Oh, definitely trying Pluto. For sure. He could absolutely be involved in some other shit. Trining his Venus and his Mercury. Yeah, yeah. And it also makes him very, very, very sexual, hypersexual. Um, and Drake is known to be a thotty, just sidebar. People do rumor that Drake is, and there have been a lot of women who have said Drake is out here just, what do they call it? Is it busting it low, spreading it wide, or whatever? Y'all know what I'm saying. He's out here, okay, and without contraceptives. A lot of women have said that he doesn't even bother to use protection. He is nasty, and this aspect definitely it could produce that, okay. It could produce him having a lot of fetishes, like a lot of real, unexpected fetishes. I mean, after all, his baby mama is a porn star, okay. And it can even, with his Venus being conjoined to his Pluto, y'all, I would not be surprised if he's accumulated an STD or two. Because Scorpio does deal with bacteria. It deals with STIs, infections. And it also deals with the genitals. So that's just a sidebar. However, okay, bring it right back around to the spirituality thing. I could absolutely see Drake being involved in occult practices. Very much so. Let's see what else he has going on. Yeah, his Jupiter is squaring his Uranus. Oh, which is in his fifth house of Sagittarius. So his Jupiter is squaring his Saturn as well. Yeah, and this also reinforces him being a stone cold freak. Having unexpected pregnancies, but also, reinforcing this element of secretism. Is that a word? Secretism, or having a lot, I wouldn't be surprised if he's gotten a lot of women pregnant. You know what I mean? And they've mysteriously gotten an abortion, or, things happen that we're not really aware of, like the public, especially with that Uranus in the fifth house, because that can produce unexpected pregnancies. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised about that. Also, the fifth house is your claim to fame. And once again, it's just very odd because, Jupiter rules Sagittarius also. So it does carry this very strong spiritual theme, and it can make one reckless. It can make one very reckless. Yeah. Drake has got a lot going on, actually. Let's see what else is going on. Oh yeah, his moon is trining his Jupiter. Get a load of this. So his Jupiter is squaring his Chiron. Okay, his Chiron is at the 20th degree of Gemini. Now, Chiron is an asteroid that deals with where something is exceptional, unusual, or even it could even point towards dysfunction. But it's also known as the wounded healer, okay? Or parts of the psyche that are damaged earlier in life, causing the person to overcompensate for those things. And with his Chiron in his 11th house of Gemini, I mean, this could point, and your 11th house deals with you being a trend, your ability to be a trendsetter. It deals with you having a following of some sort. But particularly with it trining his 8th house Jupiter, it could deal with him kind of having a duplicit nature, or his celebrity being based off of something that is kind of disingenuous, or him having an identity or a presence, kind of a presence in the public that's based off of a lot of disingenuous, or there being a hidden element. Y'all get what I'm saying? A hidden part of himself that isn't really what people know to be true of him. Okay. And a lot of this could involve I mean, particularly money, other people's money. But it can also involve his spirituality and his spiritual practices. You know, it could also deal with him being very phony, being phony in the sense of like even with his peers. So I wouldn't even put that past him because that 11th house is naturally housed by Aquarius. So it kind of reinforces this energy of him being very much fake, phony, even a liar. The theme of him being an opportunist. He's definitely a culture vulture. I keep like he has a lot of parasitic energy. That Scorpio, because Scorpio could work in one or two ways. And I guess it goes back to all of these conjunctions, which could be played out in a positive or negative respect. But on the more positive side, a Scorpio relationship would be like both of you guys are equally giving and taking unto one another, right? It's like a balanced, symbiotic relationship. The more negative manifestation of that is just a straight out parasite, right? Somebody who kind of is like a vampire who leeches from other people and places and things, especially with his fourth house planet squaring his Aquarius Mars in the 7th. So there's that. His sun is forming a sextile to his Neptune. That is absolutely an indication of him. What house is this? Oh yeah, his Neptune is in the 6th house of Capricorn. This could absolutely deal with him being somebody who does a pretty good job at hiding, or who successfully hides a lot of their identity, who has a lot of secrets attached to them. And a lot of it is based around work. Okay, with that 6th house in Capricorn, Capricorn is very much concerned with reputation, status, power, and image. It can also deal, once again, reinforcing him being a liar. But, this sextile could point towards him actually getting away with it. You know what I mean? Like, him not really being the type of person to, like, be completely brought down by a scandal. Not like you would with the person who has like their sun squaring Neptune, right? Because those are the type of people who can just be put on Front Street and all their dirty laundry is aired. But I don't see that happening with him. And then finally, taking a look at his lunar nodal placement. So Drake is a Libra South Node, which makes him an Aries North Node. Yeah, that Libra South Node could deal with somebody who is very much a like a liaison between groups of people, but also somebody who is very strategic. Libra is one of the signs of the military that a lot of people don't really give it its credit for being so badass and nefarious if it wants to be, because Libra is very much strategic, and it's all about learning your enemy, right? Learning your enemy so that you can defeat them, really. And once again, Libra also does deal with open enemies. So with his planets in the 4th house, right? So that's his sun, his Mercury, Venus, and Pluto forming a quincunx to his North Node. I mean, it just reinforces the fact that his like very secretive, sneaky, manipulative kind of nature is very much like that's not what he was put here to do. It takes him further away from the Aries North Node. In actuality, Drake was put here to be very I mean, I don't want to say hyper aggressive, but direct. Okay, direct, upfront. I just keep thinking like, quit being a bitch. Quit being a bitch. You know what I'm saying? If you're a bad man, you come out and you be the bad man. Quit trying to surround yourself with other people to do your dirty work for you. Especially with his South Node being in his 3rd house, that deals with like your peers, the people around you, your friends, like your connections, even like somebody who could weaponize their connections in a way. So yeah, just be your own person. Come out, be your own person. Be direct. Be upfront. You know, he's meant to be a fighter, and he's meant to stand out in this lifetime and be very much direct in his approach in the way that he does that. You know, so all of that underhanded activity isn't going to. He might find later on in life that it doesn't get him as far as he probably feel like he needs to go. Or I don't know, maybe I don't know, maybe he'll continue to live in that South Node energy. Who knows? But yeah, so there's that. This concludes my reading on Drake. So I mean, to sum it up, like, I could absolutely see him being involved in the occult, or just at the very least a lot of underhanded activity, whatever you want to call it, the Illuminati, quote unquote, whatever. You know, it's a lot more to Drake than meets the eye, and a lot of it ain't pretty. So with that being said, I am your girl Megan. This concludes my reading. Be sure to drop down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of the video, as well as share any suggestions you may have for future readings. And be sure to thumbs up this video, y'all. Thumbs up. Feel free to share it with friends, all that good stuff, okay? And with that being said, okay, make sure you practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And until next time, I'll holla.